Yes, guys, welcome back to the MMA Sucker channel. As always, I'm Frazer Krohn, and this is my breakdown for the UFC 320 main event. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail in this than I did in this week's podcast, but that's just is what it is. This is a standalone video for the UFC 320 rematch main event between the champion, now champion, Magomed Ankalaev, and now the man who will challenge for the belt, Alex Pereira. This is an interesting one because I think the first fight was decisive in favour of Magomed Ankalaev. He won the fight 49-46, 48-47 and 48-47, and I think they were generous in giving Alex Pereira 2 rounds. Derek Cleary and Mike Bell. I think Sal D'Amato's 49-46 was the correct scorecard. I don't think a lot of people really anticipated such dominance from Ankalaev. But this is what he does. It's not an entertaining fight every single time, but what he does do is he wins, and he wins fights in convincing fashion. One thing that I do think is interesting is I don't think Alex Pereira took the first fight all that seriously. This time, 2 weeks out, we saw this video on social media of Alex Pereira weighing in at 106.2 kilos, which is, I believe, 234 pounds. So he is 20 pounds over, and that video came out about the beginning of this week, the beginning of last week. So that was him 2 weeks out, and he's only got to cut 20 pounds. He looks in phenomenal shape. We haven't seen him doing nearly as much media, and yet he still does quite a bit of media. But let's talk a little bit about tactics going into the fight. First, let's look at the challenger, Alex Pereira. What does he need to do in this rematch to get his belt back, to beat Ankalaev, to do the thing that only one man, Paul Craig, has done in the entirety of Magomed Ankalaev's career, and that is beat him? I think he needs to use leg kicks. Now, he did use leg kicks a lot in that first fight. 48 leg kicks were landed last time out, but they didn't have much success. They weren't damaging leg kicks, and they weren't exactly hindering the movement of Ankalaev. That needs to change if Pereira is going to win this. He needs to hinder the movement of Ankalaev, and we saw that Ankalaev is susceptible to that low kick against Jan Blachowicz in their fight. So much so, he had to completely change his game plan and mix it up and start wrestling. The leg kicks will then set up the high kicks, which is kind of what my second point for Alex Pereira is. He needs to land more strikes to the head. He landed 11 total strikes to the head in that first fight. 11 strikes total. Now, you can say that that is because of the defense of Ankalaev, or you can just say that it's because of 11 significant strikes landed to the head. Or you can say that's because of just a lack of skill, which is crazy to say, but a lack of an ability to land on Magomed Ankalaev from this man right here, Alex Pereira. It was interesting because we're so used to seeing Alex Pereira land with immense regularity to his opponents. You know, you look at that Khalil Roundtree fight, the fight before this, significant strikes landed to the head, 92. Almost 9 times the amount of significant strikes landed to the head of Khalil Roundtree than were landed to Magomed Ankalaev. And that fight went 5 minutes less than the Ankalaev fight. The reason I think leg kicks will help him open up some of the head kick defense is because I've also put another key to victory for Alex Pereira as he needs to be more vicious with his strikes to the body. The reason for this, if he opens up with strikes to the legs, if he hurts Ankalaev to the legs, Ankalaev will, and we've seen him, duck down to try and catch that leg kick. We know Alex Pereira can throw high kicks. Ask Jiri Prochazka in their rematch. What I do think will be key for Alex Pereira, remember Ankalaev tried to take him down 12 times in their original fight and was unable to do so on even a single occasion. So Alex Pereira's got to trust in his own takedown defense because it's there. We've seen it. It's there. What I would say is if he commits to strong kicks to the body, really strong kicks to the body, Alex Pereira this is, that will open up both the low kick, because Ankalaev will look to protect his body, but also it will open up the high kick. There's no denying that. If you're battered to the ribs and battered to the body, the head strikes will be there, and that is how I think if Alex Pereira is going to finish this fight, that's how I think he does it. Now let's move on to this man, the champion, Magomed Ankalaev. What are his keys to victory in this fight? It's simple: rinse and repeat. Do exactly what you did in the first fight, and the same outcome will come. I think he needs to look to be a little bit more active in cutting off the cage. I think Alex Pereira will come out and be much lighter on his feet, but I think he needs to be a little bit more active in, rather than following Pereira, he needs to cut off the cage a little bit better than he did in their original fight, because he will be able to corral Alex Pereira up against the cage and then work in the clinch like he did in the first fight. Like I said, rinse and repeat from that first fight. He got 5 minutes of control time, or 5.5 minutes of control time, and quite honestly, that's how he won the fight. He just stopped Alex Pereira doing what Alex Pereira does best. He closed the distance, he got right in his face, and Pereira wasn't able to fight long, which is what he likes to do and what he's been so efficient at all these years. Ankalaev needs to do more of that. He needs to continue in the clinch, pretty much just pick off, from round 6, pretty much pick up in round 6 of their sort of rivalry now, and look to really frustrate Alex Pereira. We know Pereira's a big guy. We've only ever seen him go 5 rounds, I think, once or twice. I think we've seen him go the full 5-round distance once, and I think he finished Izzy in the 5th round. Back in 2022. That's with Israel Adesanya not wrestling, being a smaller guy in there. This is with Ankalaev, who is going to be just as big, if not maybe slightly bigger than Alex Pereira. Lean on him, wade on him, force him into clinch situations that he doesn't want to be in, and look to really drain that gas tank. Because we don't know, the output of the first fight on the side of Alex Pereira wasn't particularly high. He threw, let me just double check, he threw 159 strikes total. That's not particularly high for for Alex Pereira. When you compare that to Khalil Roundtree, 211 strikes. Even the Jiri Prochazka the Jiri Prochazka second fight, that fight was finished 13 seconds into the second round. He'd already thrown 61 strikes. Comparing that to, let's say, the Israel Adesanya fight that went 5 rounds, he threw 214 strikes. Ankalaev needs to put it on Alex Pereira and put it on him early in this fight if he's going to win. And don't worry about the crowd. Ankalaev, frankly, isn't liked by a lot of the UFC crowd because he doesn't have the most entertaining style. It's very risk averse. He doesn't tend to put himself out there to get finished against guys like Thiago Santos. The Johnny Walker fights are a bit different. Thiago Santos, Volkan Ozdemir, Jan Blachowicz, that fight wasn't particularly entertaining. The Alexander Rakic fight before the first Alex Pereira fight, and then the Alex Pereira fight at UFC 313. These are not fights that you want to go back and watch again as a fan. Whereas Alex Pereira is all about entertaining fights, exciting fights. But for Ankalaev, it's not. If I'm Ankalaev, who cares? Simply put, who cares? Who cares if you're not the most entertaining fighter on the roster? It might come around to bite you later on in your career, but against someone as dangerous as Alex Pereira, you don't have to be the most entertaining fighter. You have to win. And then outside of that win, that's when you can maybe begin to open up a little bit more against some of the less dangerous guys in the division. But if Magomed Ankalaev can make this fight a little bit boring, if he can clinch Pereira often, if he can really wane on the former champion, he might even get a finish late. I'm predicting Ankalaev by unanimous decision. I think that, like I say, he just rinses and repeats and probably puts more of a stamp on this fight than he did the first one. Don't worry about the crowd. Shut the crowd out. If you're getting booed, you're getting booed. He's a good enough fighter to beat Alex Pereira again in the same manner as he did the first time, and I think that's what he'll do. Leave your predictions in the comments below. How do you think this fight will go? Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you next time.